He was in the Amazon with my mom when she was researching spiders right before she died.
This is a real movie, man. I'm not even going to edit this video like I normally do because the people who made this movie didn't look like they tried very much, so I'm not going to try very much in this video. They did, however, try very hard to not let me upload this video. I mean, look how many copyright strikes I got on this. This is ridiculous. So if you see anything wrong with the footage, that's why. I'm sorry, but it's YouTube's fault. So let's just go along with it. I decided to go out and watch Madame Web last week to form my own opinion on it because, as the whole internet's been talking about, this movie is apparently really bad. But I often think the internet blows things out of proportion a bit and overly shits on stuff that honestly doesn't really deserve all the hate that they may get. But I can't really defend this one, guys. Madame Web is really, really bad. However, I don't think it's like the worst movie ever made or anything like that, or even one of the worst movies ever made. I also don't think it's like a completely worthless movie. There is stuff in here that I did find interesting, at least on a conceptual level, but I can't sit here and pretend like this movie isn't a mess. And with that, let's just start off with the negatives, since I'm sure that's why most people are here, and then we'll move on to the positives later on in the video. So, for starters, it looked and felt like not a single soul in this movie gave a fuck about anything that was happening. Dakota Johnson, ironically, did have a couple chuckle-worthy, damn, my script is fucked. Anyway, as I was saying, Dakota Johnson ironically had a couple chuckle-worthy lines, but they felt more ad-libbed than anything. It doesn't really feel like that was baked into the movie or written into the script. Beyond that though, no one, and I mean no one in this movie had chemistry at all with one another. Not the Spider-Women, not Dakota Johnson and Adam Scott's character, or the main villain and his little sidekick. Nope, there was just not an ounce of chemistry between any two human beings anywhere in sight for the entire movie. The movie is also shot and edited really poorly, unfortunately. Just right off the rip, in the opening minutes, this was already very apparent. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about when you see it, or if you even see it, but legit, it might even be in the first minute of the movie, but there's this cut where a woman is talking, and she's talking and she coughs, and the cut in which she coughs is so noticeably bad that some random dude behind me in the theater even said out loud, "What the fuck was that?" If some random dude in the theater is going to audibly exclaim at how bad an edit in the movie was, it's got to be bad, dude. Beyond that, the movie also starts off with an egregious amount of zoom-ins and shaky cam and all sorts of nonsense, and none of it looked like it was caught in camera. It seemed like somebody went in and added all these strange office-looking digital zooms and shaky cam moments in post. Like seriously, the opening minutes of the movie are just shot like The Office, pretty much. And that's all fine and dandy, but then within the next couple of minutes, the movie just does away with this style and goes for a more traditional direction. And I was like, oh, okay, so maybe that was just a stylistic choice for the intro then, right? Maybe they just wanted the intro to feel different. But then no, because 2/3 into the movie, that weird office style camera work reared its ugly fucking head again, and it was just so jarring. The movie also has so many Dutch angles, and we all know how we feel about Dutch angles. They're fucking hideous. Stop doing them. It also has forced zoom-ins and nonsensical shaky cam, like I said, all throughout this movie, and it just gives the movie an amateurish feel. That being said though, as much as I give the camera work shit, I will throw some positives towards it. I did think there was some cool stuff going on with the cinematography at the same time, which only made the viewing experience all the more frustrating. So let me explain what I mean by that. So just for instance, the camera does a lot of weird ass shit in this movie, like just the way it moves around the scene and through the environments of the movie. And I did find some of that cool and interesting. And that's the best way I can describe it. Cool and interesting. That's all I got. But the issue here is that it just kept fucking happening. Relentlessly. Like at first, let's say, I don't know, in the first 30 minutes or so, I was like, hey, you know, some of these shot choices are actually kind of interesting. Some of these are cool. But then the movie just didn't fucking stop. It felt like every other scene, maybe even every scene, had the camera just spinning around and doing some weird shit. If it wasn't spinning, it was zooming in, and if it wasn't zooming in, it was being flung around, and if it wasn't being flung around, it was just horribly close to people's faces. Like, back the fuck up, DP. Back up. The wacky cinematography just never let up, unfortunately, and it only got crazier and more annoying as the movie went on. And before we go into the story, let's talk about the characters real quickly, and I say real quickly because there's just not a lot to fucking talk about here. Hell, I don't even remember some of these characters' names, so we're just gonna call them what I remember them as. Everyone here is a complete nothing burger. No one in this movie has anything going on of any substance whatsoever. Madame Web herself is just really mean and rude, and quite frankly, a bitch. But that's normal stuff for character development, especially in comic book movies. That's not that new, right? Plenty of characters start off as douchebags and eventually loosen up a bit. Some of them even stay as snarky assholes throughout the development, like Doctor Strange or Iron Man, for example. They're still assholes even after they go through what they go through, right? But I don't know. Here, Madam Web is just rude, and her development doesn't really feel earned. And even then, she also barely has development in the first place. She's got a super weak subplot about her mother and this mystery that's surrounding her. But it's so obvious that you see the twist, quote unquote, if you can even call it that, from a mile away about her mom. Moving on, the 3 Spider-Women, who actually aren't even Spider-Women because, yes, they do not even get their powers in the movie, as I'm sure a lot of people have heard about, and they never actually do anything in the movie either. And on that note, quick side tangent, because Dune 2 is like right around the corner, I find it interesting how people online are complaining about these scenes in Madam Web, how they're showing them with superpowers and all this cool shit that's happening, except none of that is in the movie. It's just essentially an advertisement for the next movie. However, they did the same thing in Dune Part 1, and everybody was like totally okay with it. So I wonder what the two differences are here and why, people are treating them differently. I mean, obviously, Dune Part 1 is a much better movie than Madam Web. But besides like the obvious shit out of the way, I don't know why this is okay, but this isn't. I don't know. It's weird to me. But anyway, back to the Spider-Women thing. They're all fucking terrible. Like I mentioned earlier, none of them have an ounce of chemistry together. Their characters are so bland and underwritten, and honestly, if anything, I think it's pretty fucking insulting how they treat these characters in the movie. And you know what? Fuck it. Let's just go into full-on spoilers from here on out, because who the fuck cares about this movie? No one cares, okay? Let's just talk about it. Obviously, the plot of the movie, as shown in the trailers, is about this evil Spider-Man character who wants to kill these 3 girls, right? It's pretty simple. And again, the movie treats these 3 girls like they're complete fucking morons, to an insulting degree, mind you. For example, just after they had their very first run-in with evil Spider-Man, they escape and hide in the woods because he has access to like every piece of technology ever. So he can see all the cameras in the city, he has surveillance everywhere, so he can easily find them if they were to be in the city. So they hide in the woods, and they all acknowledge how fucking insane it was to just see a man crawling on the ceiling and have super strength. He was like killing dudes, or he's throwing people around. This is the first time they've ever seen a superpowered being in their lives, and he was trying to kill them. But then, as they're hiding in the woods, they get hungry and leave to go get food and are immediately found by evil Spider-Man and killed by him. Like, what? Oh my god, my tummy hurts. I haven't eaten in 3 hours. Guess I gotta go test my fucking luck with the guy who's waiting outside the woods to empty out my guts, dude. What the fuck are you doing? And to make matters worse, each of them have a single personality trait, and that's all they have to work with. One girl is the awkward, rule-abiding girl who's always trying to stick to the plan. One girl is the rebellious, bratty girl who always has to go against the plan. And then the last girl is just good at math and science. She's just smart, and that's literally it. And they all kind of have like this parental issue through line that connects them all together, but that's all told through like actual throwaway lines and has no bearing on the plot at all. It's fucking useless. It's a shame how little this movie makes use of its own cast. Then we got Uncle Ben and Peter Parker's mother, Mary Parker, who was actually pregnant with Peter in the movie, but they were awkward and barely used in the movie too. And then you have the main villain himself, evil Spider-Man, and my god, this guy sucks. I have no idea who this actor is, and I'm sure he'd do much better in a movie that allowed him to do better. But holy, his performance is horrendous. The character writing for him is horrendous. Any scene with him in it is horrendous. But to his credit, right, to his credit, I think the immense amount of ADR surrounding his character heavily weighs down his performance. Everyone should know this by now. Most of the time, when you see a bad performance in a movie or show, the actor is the least at fault, all right? It goes like this. Actor, the least at fault. Editor, the second most at fault. And the director is the most at fault for any bad performance in their project. And I want to say, no joke, 70% of the scenes in this movie with him in it are completely ADR. Like, more often than not, words will be coming out of his fucking mouth without his lips even moving. Like, his mouth, his lips, his face don't fucking move when he's talking. It's like they couldn't even hide the fact that they added in these lines in post. Beyond that, though, his motivations are also horrendous. He's literally just a bad guy for no reason at all. And I mean that without exaggeration. You know, it may sound like I'm exaggerating, and maybe I am a little bit here and there, but seriously, this guy has zero motivations. He is just a bad guy. You don't even know why he's a bad guy. He just is a bad guy. He has no motivations for anything that he does. It feels like there's like an entire chunk of this movie missing that explains his character at least a little bit. And you know what? Essentially, his character just boils down to he's evil Spider-Man, and he, for some reason, has dreams of these 3 Spider-Women killing him. So to prevent his own death in the future, he's going to kill these 3 teenage girls before they're able to become superheroes, right? Makes sense. I guess, on paper. And, you know, obviously Madam Web sees the future and whatnot, and she has to prevent that from happening, right? That's the premise of the movie. That's his character. That's the most that his character has. But like, we don't even know why the Spider-Woman want to defeat him in the future anyway. We don't know what the fuck's going on. We don't know anything about this guy beyond what I just said. And I mean, I think we can all agree that going out to kill a couple teenage girls is pretty fucking heinous. And I don't know, I would like some sort of background or interiority or actual motivations for anything that the villain wants to fucking do. Like, why do you want to live so badly that you're willing to kill these innocent women? I mean, hello? Movie, give me something. And even though I don't think this is one of the worst movies ever made or anything like that, I do genuinely believe this is one of the worst movie villains ever made, ever put to screen. I without exaggeration, he is so bad in this movie. Everything around this guy is horrendous. And you know what? When I really think about it, he's basically just Venom, but like without the personality or the intimidation factor. He's got powers similar to Spider-Man, like Venom, except he doesn't shoot webs like Venom. He fights and moves around the environment like Venom, but he's just a shittier version of Venom. I don't know. They want an evil Spider-Man, but that's just fucking Venom, guys. We forget. And with that, let's switch over to the positives, all right? Let's slow down a little bit. Let's calm down. Let's talk about the good stuff here. And they're just... there isn't many. I think Dakota Johnson is kind of funny sometimes in the movie. She got a couple good chuckles out of me, I can't even lie. I think that some of the trippier visuals in the movie that have to do with Madam Web's powers were pretty cool. The scene in which she unlocks her powers especially was kind of cool to watch, was nice. It was reminiscent of that scene from Doctor Strange. It's not that crazy, but it's in a similar ballpark, all right? And even though I was shitting on the villain, I think the concept of an evil Spider-Man as the villain of a movie that's not Venom, obviously, is pretty intriguing. I don't know if I'm the only one who thinks that, but I don't know. I think it's cool. He even has his own like Ned type character, like the guy in the chair kind of thing. And I thought that was a fun little nod to that character. I thought it was a nice little Easter egg. I don't know. It was like he was evil Spider-Man, but he even had like the evil guy in the chair too that went along with it. And he also made use of tech like Spider-Man would. They tried like 1%, I guess, with him. Is what I'm just trying to say. I'm giving some credit here. I also thought the Spider Tribe's look was also a fun nod to the Spidey suit. And I'm sorry if you've never seen the movie. So in the movie, there's basically a tribe of people in the Amazon rainforest, I think. Somewhere in Peru. I don't even know where the fuck it takes place, honestly. These people in the jungle just have superpowers, like Spider-Man. And the way that they dressed was with like vines and cloths and this red paint that, you know, was put all over their bodies. And it was very clearly supposed to look like a Spider-Man suit. And I thought that was pretty cool. I like the idea that Peter Parker, you know, when he becomes Spider-Man and he makes his costume, he does it subconsciously similar to that of the actual tribe of spider people that have powers just like him. God, that must have been the dumbest fucking sentence I've ever said on this channel. Again, conceptually, it's kind of cool. And lastly, I really liked how this movie was a small-scale, street-level story. Even though it wasn't a very engaging one, this movie has some cool stuff in it, conceptually. But it's just that the execution is just awful. And that's pretty much where my positives end. All in all, Madam Web came and went and will be forgotten about in a couple weeks. And it's honestly, it's a little unfortunate because it also does seem like this movie was like severely fucked around with in the cutting room. I don't know anything about this movie or what went on behind the scenes. I could totally be wrong here, but this movie does seem like another one of those Frankenstein comic book movies where the studios came in and mixed and matched whatever scenes they wanted together with whatever reshoots and ADR. And I'm not going to sit here and say that the movie would have been amazing without studio interference, but again, it does seem like something isn't quite right here. Certain plot points and character moments are just missing. The flow from scene to scene was just broken and nonsensical. All around, it's just edited really horribly. Something happened to this movie for sure. I'm just not sure we'll ever find out what it is. So finally, is it one of the worst comic book movies ever made? Probably yes, but it's not unwatchable trash. You and your friends could totally pop this bad boy in and laugh both with and at the movie. You can totally have a good time with this movie. It's bad, but it's not the worst thing ever. And that's my review for Madam Web. That's all I got. It was really just you listening to my voice this video since I didn't really edit it that much. I kind of just hit record and put the trailer over it. But like I said though, they didn't try on the movie, so I'm not gonna try on the video. And that's it. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll respond to everything. See you in the next one. Mwah.